Hey guys, so we all gonna be learning today the HTML and the CSS on this tutorial. So if you are a newbie or a beginner in web programming focusing on web design, and this tutorial is gonna be needed to you. So if you are a web developer or doing something or doing some web programming in it, so it means that this HTML and CSS is one of the basic and default of your learnings and skills. So the reason why combining this HTML and CSS, because we all need this HTML to describe the tags into our browser, and then this CSS will help this HTML to become more look pretty and beautiful. Okay, so next, so basic startup for beginners for web development and web designing. So that's one of the bundle that we are going to discuss on this tutorial. Another one, no prior knowledge in HTML and CSS is required, because we will be doing this from scratch. So we will be learning from HTML and CSS alone. So we could set up also our local development server. We could use the SAMP or WAMP, or if you are doing something like live server, okay, it's up to you guys. So next, use modern HTML5 features and specification. Learn how to develop a simple, responsive, and progressive web design. So we will be creating a website that is responsive to all devices. So if you are using phones, tablets, or laptop, then this website is gonna be responsive to all screens. Okay, create a project from scratch. So we start from the basic one until we could create our own website. And of course, to develop a simple website and web application at the end of this topic. So at the end of this HTML and CSS tutorial, we will be able to develop and create this simple website. So this is a Jaguars website. So it's all about Jaguars Basketball Club. So anyway guys, you could create your own website or whatever the website that you are going to create related to this tutorial, you could create also. Okay, so we have our own header, we have our footer, and of course we could include images inside our website, text, paragraphs. So we have our navigations, and we could include also the banner of our website. So this is just purely HTML and CSS. So at the end of this tutorial, so this might be, or this would be the output of our project. What is an HTML? Okay, so guys, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So a markup language is set as markup tags, not a programming language. Okay, guys? HTML is not a programming language, but instead, that is a markup tags that describes our tags into images, text, forms, or etc. Okay? So HTML documents are described by tags. Okay? So we will be learning that later. HTML or each HTML tags describes different document content. HTML to structure content on web page such as image, text, forms, and etc. So I have said that is not a programming language, but instead that is a markup tags that describes or structure content into the web page such as image, text, and form. Okay? This is an example of a small HTML document. So we have our doc type or document type HTML. So it states that document type declaration defines the document type to be an HTML. So it determines that the type of document that you are going to develop or to create is an HTML. So this is the declaration of the HTML. And then we will have our root HTML down here. Slash HTML means it's closing. So HTML, the root of HTML. So the text between HTML and // HTML describes the document or the HTML document. Next is the title page. This is where we could create our title. Okay, so I will be showing that later. So what is the purpose of the title? Head / head provides information about the document. And of course, the body. So this is where our main content located. Opening and closing of the tag body describes the visible page content. We have also here P tag. So the P tag describes the paragraph. So we have an opening and closing of P. IMG tag. So the purpose of IMG tag is used to describe image in the web page. So notice guys that there is no such closing of this tag. So not all the tags are declared that there is an opening and closing. So we will be discussing that later on. So this is an example of the HTML document. A simple or a small HTML document. Okay? So next, HTML tag or HTML tags are keyword or tag names surrounded by angle brackets. So these are the angle brackets. The inside it angle brackets are the name of the tag. And then inside this opening and closing of tag, this is our content. Okay? So this is the content that we are going to describe based on the tag that we are given. Okay? So next, HTML tags normally comes in pair. So like for example, P tag for paragraph and closing for the tag. Okay? And of course, not all the tags, I have said not all the tags has a closing. Okay? So we will be discussing that later on. So the tag in the pair is the start tag and the second tag is the end tag. So the end tag is written like the start tag but the slash before the end or before the tag. Okay? So you could use this /p or slash the name of tag. That is how you are going to close the tag. Okay? So remember guys that the start tag is also called as the opening tag, and of course the end tag is also called as closing tag. So that's the same. So the purpose of web browser, Chrome, Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari is to read HTML document to display them using the HTML tag. So the browser does not display the tags but uses them to determine how to display the document. So let's say for example, my first heading. So this browser describes the heading on the tag. So of course, CSS stands for cascading style sheets. So CSS describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on screen, paper, or in other media. So meaning we will be using this CSS to transform our HTML more beautiful and pretty. CSS saves a lot of work. It can control layout of multiple web pages all at once. Okay? Then external style sheets are stored in CSS files. Actually guys, there are 3 types of CSS that we will be learning. So CSS is used to define styles for your web pages, including the design, layout, and variations in display for the different devices and screens. So HTML was created to describe the content. So HTML is just to describe the content of a web page. And this CSS is gonna transform this HTML into more beautiful and pretty content. Okay? So like for example, the H1 tag means this is a heading, and P tag means this is a paragraph. Okay, so HTML and CSS text editors. So write HTML using the notepad or text editor. Anyway, guys, you could use the Notepad, but that's one of the default of your laptop or computer. But I recommend you guys to use these different text editors such as Notepad, the Visual Studio Code, the Sublime, and Atom. So in our case, now on this tutorial, we will be using this Visual Studio Code. So you could download it on code.visualstudio.com. You could use different text editors in developing this application. So on this tutorial, guys, so I recommend you guys to use the Visual Studio Code, because this is one of the most latest text editors that mostly used by people who are developing in web application. So you could download it for Windows, and then you could use also the Sublime. You could download it on the sublimetext.com. So you could download it for Windows. Anyway, guys, there is no such different if you are using any web or text editors. So it's up to you guys on how to use those text editors. Anyway, you could use also Notepad++. So you could download it if you want. And Atom, you could download it on the atom.io. So you could download it for Windows or Mac. And those are the text editors that I recommend you guys to use. But on this tutorial, I will be using this Visual Studio Code. Okay? So next thing to do is to download the WAMP server or the SAMP. So on this tutorial, I will be using the WAMP server to serve our website. Okay? Okay, so if you are familiar with the SAMP, then you could use SAMP also. So you could download it here. So download from Windows. And for the WAMP server, you could download it here also. Okay? So those are the things that we are going to install before we are going to start our website. Okay? Alright, guys. So after downloading the local development server, whether you are using the WAMP or SAMP, and then kindly open those web servers. Okay? In my case, so I am using WAMP, then open, and then let's go to the directory, and then let's create a new file here. So new folder, HTML CSS tutorial or tuts. Alright, then right click and then open with Visual Studio Code. Alright, guys, so after opening the Visual Studio Code, this is the main page of, or the main index of our Visual Studio Code. So kindly delete this one, we don't need those. So HTML, CSS, and tuts folder. So there is nothing inside on it. Okay, so we will create new file, index.html. Okay, so the purpose, guys, why I am writing this index.html, because in every program or in any web development, inside in it there is always an index file that determines that that would be your parent directory. Okay, so that serve as your index file, or that would serve as your home page. Okay, so let's start. So first, we gonna declare our page as our doc type. So doc type HTML. So first, let's gonna type this one. So doc type, uppercase, doc type, and then space HTML. So that's how you install, or that's how you declare the page that is a HTML file, or that is an HTML document. Next thing to do is to create a root of HTML. So HTML, right? And then we have our opening of tag, and this would be the closing of tag. So next, title. So the purpose of title, guys, this would display as the title of our page. So I will be showing that later on. So let's say for example CSS and HTML tutorial. Okay, so we have the opening of tag title and we have the closing of tag title. So it describes the title of our page. Next, let's create a head. So usually our head is the title. So I will be cutting this one and put it here. Next, this is where we could create our content. So this is the content. Let's say for example paragraph, hello world, and then P again, and then my first web page. There you go. So first I declare the content that this content is an HTML. So this is the declaration of HTML document. So I created a tag for a root of our HTML. So we have the opening and closing of HTML. Next, I create a head of our HTML. So the purpose of head, where we could create our, let's say for example, later on we could create our the header and some of the text that belongs to the head. And this is where we could put also the title. So the title is used to display on our web page as a title later on. So I will be showing that. Next, the body. This is where the content located. Save this one and then let's take a look it on our browser. Okay, so localhost. So localhost slash or forward slash to the name of the folder. So HTML CSS tuts. Okay, so that's the name of our folder, and there you go guys. So as you can see, this is our title, the CSS and HTML tutorial, and these are the P tag, hello world, and my first web page. So this is the simple document of HTML. So next tutorial guys, or next segment, so we all gonna be learning those HTML basics and tags. Okay,